Welcome to the Stanton Chase LA podcast, where executive workplace issues meets real life. And I'm Dr. Nancy Jernigan, an executive search consultant with Stanton Chase LA, and I'm working in the nonprofit and higher ed practice groups. And we're discussing workplace issues, real life issues, all these variety of thoughts with our Stanton Chase LA team. But today we're chatting with Pete Deragon, the managing partner of Stanton Chase LA. So welcome, Pete.
Thank you, Nancy. It's nice to be here to discuss some of these issues with you today.
Yeah, great to see you. So let's jump right into our first question. And so a question for you is, what do you believe executive search consultants are doing differently in the post-COVID season?
Well, thank you for asking the question. We have a lot of really interesting feedback from recent groups that have gotten together. Now that COVID's faded away and people are traveling more actively. In the last several weeks, I've been involved in several gatherings of aerospace and defense people, and also the Association for Corporate Growth. And I've also had a lot of input on podcasts from the CSCMP, which is the Supply Chain Managers professional organization. Mm-hmm. One of the things that I think that we've done to adjust this climate as search consultants is to travel less, just out of necessity. And as everyone knows, we've made a very efficient use of Zoom and other video conferencing. Although we know that the face-to-face and in-person connections that are made during the executive searches that we do are very important, but they're just held out until the very end. So we have become more efficient. I think another change that's been made is that due to the labor crunch, a lot of executives are pushed forward in a process of an executive search to interview sooner than they normally would. In a normal search, we would come up with a short list of 3 people and then proceed with the client. The clients now are demanding that once we identify a single person that might fit, they want to interview and engage that person right away. And beyond that, we're also expediting the final interview and offer phase of a search within about 2 weeks of identifying that candidate. It used to be up to a month because scheduling a client and all the interviews that have to take place used to be quite a while. Now it's compressed and it's more efficient. So we're actually able to get searches done quicker. That's the bottom line. And it's important for companies to do this because when they have a hole in their executive ranks, they don't want it to be there too long because it's costly.
Right. Yeah, that's a pretty significant shift. And so what else are you seeing are the most relevant issues challenging whatever area you want to address, either logistics, transportation, any of those areas in leadership today? What are the relevant issues you're seeing the leaders have to face?
Well, I think that one of the skill sets right now is being able to deal with ambiguity. The other pressing issues are digitalization of the entire workplace, where silos are falling away. And I think it's important for people to be less specialized and more broadly focused on an entire organization and how their role impacts the end-to-end operations of any given organization. So I think, leadership, some leaders have excelled when the pressure's on. Mm-hmm. And I think one of the things we're discovering is some leaders just haven't risen to the occasion, and their boards and their leadership teams are looking to replace a select number of people who will be a little bit better equipped to handle a newly digitized world, where we're redesigning roles and skills. There's robotic process automation that has to be understood in the context of a warehouse. There's the Internet of Things, where people are carrying around devices and they can find out what's going on in their organization from a handheld device, even areas that they're not intimately involved with, but they have to understand every piece of the puzzle.
Right. And I bet that affects the multi-generations working side by side, because like you're saying, some grasp that immediately, others don't. And so that's going to make a difference with the multi-generations working side by side.
It does. And I think everybody's also heard about the Great Resignation, which
Yes.
is happening. And, there's a flip side to that in that people are leaving roles perhaps that weren't satisfactory to them, but sometimes the talent that's departed an organization will be called back to do consulting
Yes,
gigs
right.
in order to plug the holes until they can get a permanent solution in place. But the acceleration of all these processes really keeps us on our toes. We have to just increase our agility in all situations and be able to change instead of sticking to things that we know works. We have to be able to create workarounds in the executive search process to make sure that our companies our clients are getting a skilled workforce. They're integrating these silos, and they're actually rethinking organizational structures entirely. So, we have to do that to understand a client that we may have known for years, and suddenly they have a new structure.
Yeah.
So it's a learning process for everyone, but it's keeping us on our toes.
Yeah, wow, those are great points. You started to mention things about different trends and shifts happening. Is there something else that you'd like to address, like data analysis or tech training or staff shortage or even DE&I and other trends that you see would be important for us to help our clients know?
Certainly. One big issue that's come up, and this was especially important at the last American Association of Port Authorities conference I attended, is that workforce development is starting to happen within colleges and community colleges nearby, where it's integral to the development of a city, say where a port is operating, to pull people out of the uneducated to educated workforce by creating programs that are compelling and that are directly attributed to jobs that can be had at the local port. So a lot of this, again, is like in robotics. A lot of it's in Internet of Things. Much of it is related to computer science and the skills that it takes to operate in a digital world. So although the lead time for this is a couple of years, these organizations, these port authorities, have started to think ahead and are investing in programs in some of the local colleges that are very, very specific to performing roles within a port environment. We're getting a very good understanding of kind of an end-to-end mindset, like I said. So it's just going to take a little bit more education, I think, to prepare people to be effective in this context.
Well, I love the tie-in to communities, colleges, education in general, because really the best leaders have to keep up with new trends in education. So that makes perfect sense. And my love for education as well probably just says that just is an exciting thought. So love that you bring that up.
It also ties directly into diversity, equity, and inclusion, because a lot of these communities that hadn't had the opportunity to go off to a four-year university find the two-year colleges very compelling. And it lifts everyone up because you're engaging in some professional services that a lot of these people may never have considered as a career path. So with the promotion of these within a lot of the port areas, I mean, this would apply to anything in any city.
Any industry.
In any industry, but it's really demand has created these needs, and private industry, public schools are all participating to get a flow of people who will actually be, paid very well. They'll be rewarded for this, and all it would take is, a two-year certificate or degree that's very specific to the local workplace.
Well, that's thrilling. So that kind of leads to our final question is we'd love to hear a little bit about yourself, Pete. We hear you have a little need for speed over the weekend sometimes.
Yeah, I've been known to be found on a motorcycle, and although I've been riding competitively for some time, I think I'm going to hang up the racing helmet and be a little bit more modest in my my sightseeing. But yes, I do enjoy motorsports, and we're actually going to be going to Austin for the MotoGP in April, which is the top competitiveness for international riders, and it's a beautiful track at Circuit of the Americas in Austin, which is a premier racing track in North America.
How exciting. Well, in just a few more seconds as we wrap it up, what else do you think the audience would love to know about you personally?
Well, I've enjoyed leading the Stanton Chase office in Southern California.
Yes.
We have some aspirations to expand a little bit, and those will be plans that are rolled out gradually here over the coming year. But I think that we've done a good job of creating services in Southern California. We're going to move north and possibly even further east in our ambitions. So it's a good environment. This is the first time that I've ever seen executive search firms reaching capacity where they actually have to turn away work. But it's a good problem to have, and it can be solved by adding good people, which we always like to do.
Great. Well, thanks for your time today.
Thanks, Nancy.
Yeah, joy to be with you. And we look forward to more podcasts down the road. So stay tuned for a few more podcasts down the road.
Thanks again.
Okay.